Can you see it now, guys? Uh,
Uh, Nimit, but still here, I think there is a pop-up on WinZip. I don't know if it's only me or if everyone else is seeing this.
Hi, he keeps it because to mute, unmute. That's
No,
the
no, no,
Skype.
not the Skype one. Uh, do you see the document itself? Because I
Yeah,
see the
Yes,
special
I can
offer,
see the
best
document.
offer of the year.
No,
no,
I
I see
don't.
the
I
document
can
very
see the
clearly.
document only. Yeah, the document is clear.
Okay, so I was just making another proposal. 4:30 dot we will end this, and then we can continue the monopoly discussion. Whoever wants to stay back, okay?
yep.
For as
Sure.
long as that goes on. Looking at Nimit's passion, it will go on for long.
Yeah, yeah, it will definitely.
Okay. So I hope everybody can see it. So I will start.
I
So
can
I'll
see it, but I don't know about others. I can see it very clearly,
even I
and
can
it is
see.
perfect size.
I
Yeah.
can see. Yeah. Thanks.
Vivek,
So
are you able to see? If you
Yes,
have
it's
issues,
clear.
can you just drop and log back? I think sometimes Skype does this. Skype has been
Yes,
going.
yes, yes. I mean, I just refreshed the screen. That helped.
Okay, fine. Yeah, go ahead, Akash.
yes. So yesterday we were talking about the metrics in the key metrics of Eicher Motors, and we were discussing about the total revenue, the year-on-year growth, and you
Just
had pointed
one
out.
thing, Akash. So, does
Yes.
anyone have questions based on yesterday? If you might have refreshed something or you might have remembered something, you have some questions? No? Okay, go on, Akash.
Yeah. So if anybody has questions, you can just stop me in between. There's no problem. Yesterday we were talking about the year-on-year growth on revenue. So we had shown you the chart, and then Nishant, you had asked me that even for the expenses, it would be important that we see how much is the year-on-year, how much they're spending on the expenses. And from their annual reports, I could also find out the R&D expenditure which they are doing currently. So Nimit, if you can go a little bit down, if I can, we can see the chart of yes. So the expenses chart over here, which we can see on the first chart, which is on the left side, the blue part shows the the whole bar shows the total expenditure of them, and the yellow part on the top indicates the R&D expenditure which they were doing for the year 2016 to 2020. So, which we saw that if you see on the right hand side, if you see the distribution of the percentage wise, the expenses which were done. So R&D percentage in the year 2016 was around 2%, like little bit less than 2%, which increased to little bit more than 2% in the subsequent year, and which kept on increasing till 2019. Like they had touched around 4.5 percentage of their R&D which was being invested. And I had also gone through annual report of Hero Motocorp and TVS Motors. So for the 2019-20, they were spending around 2 to 2.5% of their R&D. I have not added that because I couldn't make a graph out of it.
No, no. So, Akash, so this
Yeah.
you are showing the R&D expense as a total of as a percentage of total expense. So if my total expense is 100, R&D was 4% of it. That's how you are
Yes.
showing, right? So
Yes.
usually always a good practice is to show this is also a good metric, but a better metric is R&D expense as a percentage of total revenue. So if my total revenue was 1000 crores, what was my R&D expense? Was it 1% of 1000 crore or whatever? So in this chart, if I see 91 crore go up, as a percentage of 6,000 crores, it is hardly 1.5%, which is not a lot. Only 1.5% of revenue they are spending on R&D. Okay. Now looking at this first chart of 2016 only, if you see, my revenue has grown by 55%, but my expense has grown at a higher rate. So which means my profit will grow at a lower rate. So profit growing at a lower rate than revenue, it's actually a very bad sign, which means the company is not able to manage cost effectively. Also, I think you had sent me a link, right, asking which R&D expense to take. So you will take the revenue R&D expenditure, but you will also take the capital one to see how many years they are amortizing it. So if I have done a capital expenditure on R&D and I'm going to take benefit for 10 years, you will have to divide it by 10 and utilize it. So they need to highlight clearly that capital expenditure will be amortized over how many years. Amortize basically means that if I make capital expenditure means one time expense. Now if I spend 100 crores, but I will get the benefit over 10 years, it will be calculated as 10 crore each year. Okay. Whereas revenue expenditure of 30 crore will be counted in the same year. Is this clear? So your total will be 30 plus 10, 40. So, but I think
No,
that's
sorry, Nishant, I need clarification here. No, I couldn't understand. See, R&D expenditure, generally, there will be a R&D expenditure. Yes, exactly. For every company will undergo for them to get a new products. But what is this revenue R&D expenditure, capital R&D expenditure? What is
yeah.
that
So
difference?
this goes to revenue expenditure versus capital expenditure. Does anyone want to explain this concept? What is revenue expenditure versus what is capital expenditure? Anyone wants to go ahead? Nimit, you want to try?
Yeah, I can try. So basically, the revenue expenditure is an expenditure which generally occurs in a specific year, and then it is being highlighted in the specific year itself. While the capital expenditure is something which is done from a long-term perspective, and its cost is being divided, or let's say it's the expenditure, total expenditure which has been incurred is being divided by the number of years for which that has been expended. I mean, let's say that an expenditure was made for 5 years or 10 years. We divide the total expenditure or whatever it is by 10 years, and then add the money for each every year, which is the money after we get by dividing by 10. So that is something I understand from the capital expenditure.
No, no, we are talking about R&D, right? See,
Can I explain?
under these two categories, it seems. What?
I
Yeah.
think the expenses, normal expense is like the operating expense, which is taking care of your actual business, which is generating your revenue. Whereas R&D is like, it doesn't have anything to do with your earnings. It's actually invested. It might not have anything in return.
Yeah, no,
That's why it's,
basically the question was on the capital expenditure versus revenue expenditure. Means that that was the question, right, Nishant?
No, here, no, it says, no, it's under R&D, there are two, types of expenditure, revenue and capital. That's what I got confused.
Yeah, yeah.
I got,
Hold on, Venkat. So Nimit explained you, but I think okay. Wait. I will explain now.
No,
Slow down.
Nishan, can I try? I think I got it.
No,
I
no.
just
I will explain it. Okay, because this will go on for 2 days. So basically, first Venkat, understand the company has two kind of expenditure: revenue expenditure versus capital expenditure. Is that concept clear to you, or not clear?
okay, yeah, to generate a revenue is even whatever their employee salary is all part of revenue, expenditure, right?
Okay,
Whatever they're
salary is
paying.
part of revenue expenditure. That is correct. And then what is capital
Okay.
expenditure?
Capital, for example, yeah, I need to have an additional plant, then I need to invest on a land and I need to invest on a building. So that is capital investment.
Absolutely. So you are aware of it already.
No,
Now this,
but
wait.
comes under,
Now
yeah.
wait, this can be applied to any kind of expenditure. So similarly, I spent 100 crores this year on R&D, out of which 20 crore was to pay the salaries of my research team. That will be counted as what?
Okay, right. Now, okay, revenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe another 5 crores I spent on some consumables. I don't know what they spent it on, but
Or new
something.
equipments, new laboratories. Yeah.
No, something which was consumable. So maybe if I'm talking about like a normal chemistry
There are,
lab,
yeah,
I
test,
bought some sulfuric acid, I bought some test tubes which broke, etc., etc. Okay, basically consumables which were consumed within the year. I also spent some money. I don't know what they spent on again, right? So maybe they built another R&D center. Okay, so that you will be counting as what?
Capital.
Got it?
Yeah, yes, now I'm clear. Okay.
So revenue and capital expenditure can be applied to anything for that matter.
Okay, right. That's
The
what now
only
I'm first time
concept
hearing.
is the revenue expenditure is something that has to be completed within 1 year. I can capitalize that also. So for example, I pay the salaries 20 years in advance. So I've made it a capital expenditure. So I've paid the salaries 20 years in advance. Now slowly I will be getting benefit of it. Nobody does it, but I can do it. Nobody's stopping me. So a company can decide what 20 years salary I will pay. You can capitalize any expenditure. So the concept in accounting, always catch the concept. That is what I tell everyone. The concept in accounting talks about revenue expenditure is something that gives you a benefit over one financial year. So you incur the expense between January and December and you have taken the benefit of it. Capital expenditure is something that you have incurred this year, but you will get benefit in future also. It can be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever.
Yeah, I'm very clear now. Yeah, thank you.
Is this concept clear to everyone?
Yes.
And it might not give you the benefit as well, right? That's why it's R&D.
No, R&D is separate. R&D का अलग concept है तुषार. We are right now the concept we are talking about is revenue expenditure and capital expenditure.
Okay. So capital is something spread over the time, whereas the revenue is like just for the 12 months period.
Exactly. You can also talk from a month perspective. So if I'm talking for what is my revenue expenditure for January, whatever I incurred and got benefit in January, that is a revenue expenditure. What benefit I will get in February, March, April is a capital expenditure for January, because I incurred in January, but I will get benefit only in February, March, April.
Okay.
So any money spent today, but benefits to be derived in future gets converted into capital expenditure. You can generally we use an annual metric, but you can use a monthly metric. We can use a weekly metric also.
Okay.
Is this concept clear to everyone? This is one of the basic tenets of accounting. And there is a plethora of material available. I'll try to share some on Skype. If I remember, I'll share some videos on Slack channel also. Please go through it. This is a very good and important concept to know.
Okay.
Questions?
Yes. So, for example, let's imagine that I have bought a machine, okay, and I'm planning that the machine will be running for, let's say, 5 years. But so then paid the money in the first year itself when I bought the machine. So the R&D capital for the first year, I will include the whole money, or I will divide it over the 5 years. And what
No.
if it gets broken down in between?
No, so you will, so that depends on, again, as we discussed, right? Accounting, we discussed in few classes. People can do whatever they want. Generally, there are some guidelines given by the basic regulator of that country. So for example, in India, ICAI, the CA Institute sets the standards. And then now a lot of people move to IFRS, which is International Financial Reporting Standards. So they have their own standards. So I think Deepti works in that area. Maybe she can shed some light. But basically, generally there will be a guidance. So in your example, for example, I will show, say if the plant cost me 100 crores, I will show it as an expense of 100 crores. But then every year I will show depreciation on it. Again, there are many ways to apply depreciation. But if the life is 5 years, and if I'm using a straight line method of depreciation, every year I will charge 20 crore as depreciation. So that end of 5 year, I'm again left with 100 crores to repurchase that. In case it breaks down in between, obviously it's a loss for the company if it does not last the expected life. So that becomes a loss. They show it as a loss. But then there are certain government provisions which allow for accelerated depreciation, which means I spent 100 crores on a plant, but I can show depreciation of 50 crores in the first year. So there are a lot of advantages of using 50 crores as depreciation, but I don't want to get into all that. It will become little hodgepodge. But did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on it?
Nishant, I have a question. When we look at the financial reports of different companies in India, how do we know which accounting principle they have used?
They should call it out at the beginning as per Indian accounting standards or as per US GAAP. So if you look at most of the IT companies, they publish 2 sets of accounts or sometimes 3, no, definitely 2. One is IFRS and one is US GAAP. Just pull any IT company, anyone who is a little free, just pull Infosys last quarter, you will see press release. As per IFRS, as per GAAP, they will have two set of numbers. And in fact, Infosys and all are mandated because Infosys is listed in the US also. So any company which is listed in the US as per SEC mandate and as per the accounting standard board of US, they need to publish it as per US GAAP, which is GAAP is nothing but generally accepted accounting principles. United States generally accepted accounting principles. So generally you will always have 2 versions of everything. One is the US version, one is the international version. International version is nothing but the European version.
Okay, thanks.
Nishan, maybe this is slightly off the topic, but you discussed about the advantages of declaring higher depreciation, right? In general, as a general concept, what advantages do a company get when they declare a depreciated value? Is it in the form of a tax rebate or?
Yeah, so it is primarily tax, right? Yeah, go ahead, Dipti.
Yeah, tax for sure. As in, whatever EBIT that we show is after depreciation normally. But on the other hand, it actually reflects the true market value of the equipment itself. For example, if someone bought an equipment for I don't know 1 million, and they have used it for 2 years, what is the market value after 2 years? Will anyone buy for I don't know if it is going to be depreciated over 20 years? Only 10% of it taken out of depreciation. That is not its true value, right? Once it is second hand, it will be much less in terms of resale value. That is also one of the advantages.
But how is that an advantage for the company itself, Dipti? Because if I own something, my goal is to sell it at a higher price, right? Or
so my
sell
book
it at a
value,
less
my
depreciated
book value
value.
is always at par with market value. That is an advantage, right? So why would I show my book value more than the market value of my equipment? So one definite advantage is the tax itself. I mean, if I deduct a lot of amount from in the form of depreciation from my net income, then I'll be charged lesser tax right in the beginning of the life cycle of the machine.
Yeah, sure.
That is correct. I think his second question was, how is that an advantage? So no, a higher depreciation is an advantage in terms of tax, but it is a disadvantage in terms of book value. So as Deepti mentioned, if a company bought an equipment for 1 million, and if it was to be used for 20 years, and if I use straight line method, I would depreciate 5% each year. So after 2 years, the depreciation charged will only be 1 lakh. So the book value will be shown as 9 lakhs, which is not a true reflection, because in the market, I will not be able to sell it at 9 lakhs because the equipment is already used for 2 years. Nobody will buy it for 9 lakhs. It will probably be sold for 3 lakhs. So if I had shown accelerated depreciation at 50%, so first year I depreciated it by 50%. So from 10 lakhs, it becomes 5 lakhs. And the second year again, I depreciated 50%. So from 5 lakh, it became 2.5 lakhs. That 7.5 lakhs anyways, I got I showed lesser income, which I got advantage as tax. And because it is a non-cash item, I actually did not spend anything, right? Company had already spent to buy the equipment. Now by getting the depreciation, it ended up paying lower taxes. So that was an advantage. But the disadvantage is now in the books of the company, that equipment is listed only at 2.5 lakhs. So this is an asset which has depreciated. So that like you asked, Vivek, correctly, this is a disadvantage because book value is coming down. But from an investor perspective, it is a good thing.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, but now we will not digress so much. Otherwise, this will become a depreciation class. So we can park this for some other day. So coming.
Nishant, we can have this as one session after some time about depreciation.
Yes, we can. Surely. Now coming to, I think Tushar had a question on R&D. So Tushar, maybe can you clarify your question more? What was your question?
No, I think it covered. So basically, even our R&D expenses might have two categories in it, right? Like capital and what was the other? The capital expense.
Every expense can have two categories.
Right.
So
Capital.
as I explained, anything which will give me benefits over multiple years is classified as a capital expenditure. And anything that gives me benefits only for 1 year is classified as revenue expenditure. As a general rule of thumb, nobody pays salary 5 years in advance, right? So salaries are always paid usually at the end of the month. So after I have taken the services from the employee, I pay them. So that is why they are always revenue expenditure, because I do not pay salaries in advance. However, there are cases when companies give salaries in advance. Those are classified as capital expenditure. Similarly, whenever I buy a plant, I always buy at one shot. Means I spend 100 crores. That is why it is classified as capital expenditure. But I can convert that also into an operating expenditure by going into an EMI model. So instead of paying whole 100 crore one shot, I can pay EMIs. Monthly dete rahunga over 10 years, just like a home loan. So for example, if you bought a house by making the full 1 crore as down payment, that will be a capital expenditure. However, you could buy the same home on EMIs of 1 lakh each over 240 months. So that is a revenue expenditure because you are giving it every month. Okay, so there are many ways to.
And how will that be accounted? For example, for the month when a company bought an asset, for assuming a machine, so that would be like a revenue expenditure, but would a capital expenditure, but would that be counted as a revenue expenditure for that month in the accounts?
No, I did not get this. An expenditure can only be classified as either revenue or capital. Why would I classify it as both?
No, because if someone is looking at the accounts for that particular month, so in that case it will be like a capital expenditure. But okay.
No. Now you are going into cash versus accrual basis of accounting. Okay, so that is a separate discussion altogether.
Fine, no problem.
Okay, maybe that cash versus accrual did we do? No, we didn't do. Maybe we should do that also. Okay, sorry, Akash, go on.
Nishant, you said one point related to that that R&D expense versus revenue, and you said something related to profit, and this is not good. Can you please restate that statement?
No, which one? I am not able
when
to.
I was showing you, when I was discussing, I told that R&D expenses were around 2.5% or 3%.
Yeah, so I said R&D expense, you can show it as two metrics. So you have shown R&D expense as a percentage of total expense, which is a good metric. But the better metric is R&D expense as a percentage of total revenue. So you can add two more rows here and say R&D expense as a percentage of total expense and as a percentage of total revenue. So here out of 6,200 odd crore of revenue, R&D was 91 crore, which means 1.5. And also highlight which expense you are showing. I think you are only showing the revenue expenditure. So in bracket, you mention revenue. But that capital expenditure also you will have to find out if they had made a 200 crore capital expenditure and they are saying it is for 10 years, then you should add 20 crores more here.
No, this is total. This is total. I have taken total.
So then mention total. So then mention in the bracket total, which means revenue plus capital. So you are
basically. After that, you also said something like they are not spending so much and it is not.
No. I said about revenue. I remember now. I said if you go to your row, revenue growth is 55%, right? Which means my revenue went from 100 to 155 crores. I'm just using a simple close example. But my expense went up by 61%, which means if my expense was 80 crore, it has grown by 61%. So expense has grown at a higher rate as compared to revenue. This means that the company was not able to manage the cost properly. So to generate higher revenue, it also generated higher cost. Now, if you go into the detail, you will see maybe their sales budget was higher, their marketing budget was higher. Somewhere they have spent a lot of money. So basically, I earned 100 and I spent 80. What is my profit?
20.
Next year, I earned 120, but I spent 80 is 20% is 96. So I spent 24% more. So maybe I expense went up to 98. So what is my profit?
So 120 and 98, right? 22.
22. So my profit went from 20 to 22, which is how much increase?
2% increase.
No, 10%, na?
Sorry, 20 to 22. Yeah, 10% increase, yes.
But my revenue went from 100 to 120. So what is that percentage increase?
20%.
So revenue is growing at 20%, but profit is only growing at 10%, which means I'm not managing cost properly. If I had just been consistent,
I guess both of them should be equal.
Not equal, actually. Cost should be lower. So if my revenue is growing 20%, cost should grow 19%. That shows the efficiency of management. If cost is growing, so anybody can grow revenue by growing cost, right? So I can spend much more on marketing and get more business. But then what is the use? My profit margin will go down, right? So here, if you put another metric, you have income growth, right? You also put profit percentage. So net profit as a percentage of total revenue. Then you will be able to see that metric, what I'm trying to say. So just like your ROE, that will also keep going down. So to do that, what you should do is net income divided by total revenue. That will show you the net income percentage or whatever you want to call it. Add that row also. Are you making those changes? Because then it will become a very good document.
No, I will write it down right now. I will do it later on. Okay.
Just add the row, then later on you can put the numbers. Anyways, in Excel you can just put
income percentage, which would be net income divided by total earning as a percentage. And then what else?
R&D expense as a percentage of total revenue. And then share this document with everyone, right?
Okay. Okay, I will add this to these things. Okay. To continue with the presentation, then what we found that for the expense growth, the expenses, they were having continuous expenses which were growing as 61. So it was coming down. Actually, expenses were not too high. But again, when we are comparing with the revenue growth, we are seeing that it is almost thing like we are having 55% revenue growth, but at the same time we are having 61% of an expense growth. So it was corresponding to the revenue growth. We were also seeing a lot of expense growth. And when I saw R&D expenses, R&D expenses in the year 2016 was around like close to little bit less than 2%. 2017 was a little bit more, and it kept on increasing till 2019, where they had maximum of 4.5%. And last year it got decreased again, so they have come down to again 2.5% or 2.75%. I was not very sure that how do we understand that if this is a good amount of R&D expenditure or not. So that is why I searched like competitors, which I searched was Hero MotoCorp and TVS Motors. I have not added the data. I just checked their annual reports, and I checked only for the last year, that is 2019-20. So Hero MotoCorp has spent 2.5% last year in R&D, and TVS Motors has spent 1.9% in R&D. So compared to these two, currently Eicher Motors is spending a little bit more. They are spending around 3%. So a little bit more, but we don't know, like R&D, I think it's a very broad this thing, like just to say R&D. In R&D also there are a lot of things in which they are doing development. So that all details we don't have, but more or less they are in the same level, I would say.
So Akash, some more data is missing here, okay? Just by looking at total revenue and total expense, this net income percentage growth is not making sense, because if my revenue grew by 16% and expense grew by only 17%, my income growth should be higher than 10%. There is some other items which are missing here, some other income, something. So you have missed some 2-3 rows. So that is why these numbers are not making sense. But what I was trying to highlight earlier, that 2017 data seems quite reasonable. See, revenue grew by 28% and expense grew by 29%. Still not a very good job, but fair job. And income grew by 27%. That is how the metric should look. So ideally it should be more like a 28% revenue growth, 27% expense growth, and income growth of 29 or 28.5. That will make more sense. Okay. So there are some data missing here. 2-3 rows of data is missing. So you have just showed revenue and expense, but there are other data. I think there is some other income data, something is missing, or tax is fluctuating, because something is impacting this. Okay.
Okay, I will recheck the data. I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so the data is correct, but there are some rows missing, some items missing, which is not allowing me to make the proper calculations. Okay. Now one question to everyone here: equity share capital is increasing, right? So these are in crores. So 27 crore 16 lakh. It increased to 27 crore 21 lakh. It increased to 27 lakh 26 lakh, 27 crore 38 lakh, 27 crore 30 lakh. Why is this increasing every year? What is happening?
I think they are getting.
No, Akash, wait. You don't answer. I want some other people. Some people are very silent, so let them talk.
I think we discussed this in the last class, right, Nishant? So this might be the retained earning from the...
No, retained earning is the next one, right? Why is this equity share capital moving? The amount is very small, right? 27 crore 16 lakh to 27 crore 21 lakh. What happened? How did that 5 lakh come?
Okay, maybe Volvo had reduced their share. These people, Eicher Motors increasing their share in with VEs, Volvo Eicher commercial vehicles.
No. That too, anyways, they will buy in the market, right? So somebody sold,
Would
somebody
it
bought.
be like issue of
No.
Vivek, hold
rights
on.
issue?
I want others to speak. No rights issue here. But yeah, where are the others? Who else is there on the call? People I can't see.
So every year they have been trying to get some more capital from the market to grow their company. This is
No. Where is the IPO? There is
Is
no
it
IPO.
a employee stock plan or something which is vesting every year?
Yes, that is what it is, Deepti. But I wanted the others to answer. So that is what it is. So these
But-
are either your ESOPs or your mostly ESOPs. So any of those. So that is where we keep talking about diluted, right? So maybe 5 lakh is the capital. What is the par value for this? Akash, do you have that?
That time it was 10 per share face value you're asking.
Yeah, so 10, which means for 5 lakh means they have issued 50,000 new shares. So in 2017, 50,000 new shares were issued at 10 rupees. That is why that has gone up to 27.21. No, sorry, I don't know at what price, but 50,000 shares were issued. How much they charged for it, we will have to see somewhere else. That you will have to dig in some other document. They might have charged 100 or whatever, but definitely much less than market price. So these are all your ESOPs and all. So they
But
issued.
e-shops,
Sorry?
what is mean by e-shops? Employee share up?
Employee stock options. This one Vivek is an expert. He will explain. Vivek, go ahead. Vivek, do you want to explain ESOPs?
Oh, sorry, I thought I was on mute. So essentially, when you join a company, they try to retain you for a longer period of time. So they give you stock options. I mean, either you can get it in the form of restricted share units or stock options where you have the right to purchase a stock at a predefined discounted price. So after the vestation period, which might be like 3 years or 4 years, depending on the company, you have the right to purchase the shares at that particular price. So in most of the startups, you have these stock options, but in other traditional, more established companies, you get the benefit in terms of restricted stock units itself.
Okay, so here it will be a new shares issued, right? It's not already company prepared and from that, or is it? It's completely companies giving you new shares, right?
Yeah, I mean, do you mean that is the company buying it from the free float market to give me the share? I mean, the employee the share, or is that the
Exactly.
question?
Yes, exactly. How companies giving the
Like
share is it?
like Nishant explained earlier, it's not like creating a new piece of share itself. Sorry, it's more like creating a new piece of share rather than taking it from the existing market and giving it to me. And every company withholds a section of shares only for this purpose.
Okay.
No, not withholds. Okay, so but yeah, but basically 90%
should be reduced, right?
No, wait. 90% of the time, the company will create new shares, or 99% of the time, but nothing is stopping them from buying from the market. But they don't do it because as a company, I can keep creating new shares as much as I want, as long as I have a very high authorized capital. So in this case, Eicher Motors would have mostly created this, not mostly, in this case, clearly they have created new shares because it is shown in your equity share capital, right? Whenever your equity share capital is going up, which means new shares were created. So the total value was 5 lakhs. So 5 lakh divided by 10, I got the 50,000.
Nishant, when you have the rights issue as well, the number of shares is increasing, isn't it?
Yes, but in the rights issue, I am actually asking people to pay up also, na? So I am actually taking money also. So anyways, don't go to rights issue and all. It will become more. But yeah, it could also be because of a rights issue and all. But I don't know whether they had a rights issue. So any of those, but ESOPs is probably the most logical one. We can go back and check the data. So for now,
Nishant, sorry, just a question. In ESOP, like if let us say 50,000 shares were added, how do they compensate for that amount, or is it free for the company? They can do that.
Means I didn't understand. So you are asking from the company perspective. right?
Yeah, from company perspective, they let us say created 50,000 shares.
They just
So-
created it. So it is like RBI printing money, na? So that is what I said. So company has two options. Either whatever share are traded in the market, buy them and then give. But that
Okay.
is extra cost
So
for the
if they
company.
do that thing, if they buy from market, then it's costing them, right?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
they have to pay. But here it's not costing them anything.
Exactly. In fact,
But
it
then
is
wouldn't the
creating extra.
existing shareholder?
Yeah, but the dilution is very less, right? How much is
Okay.
5 lakh divided by 27 crore? It is not even what 27
Okay.
crore cut 10% is 2.7, 1% is 27 lakhs. It
So
is
do
less
they
than
do the
1%.
companies
It is
have some restrictions like they
it is
can't
less than it is less than 1%, right? So nobody even realizes it. Okay, what is the next
and
question?
how max can they do that? Like
They can do whatever, but the more they do it, the investors will get angry, right? Here, because it is less than 1% dilution, nobody cares. Because even if you dilute 1%, it will take 100 years to double the number of shares. So nobody cares. But even if instead of 27 crore, 16 lakh to 20, I mean, instead of 5 lakh, if they did it 50 lakhs, people will ask questions. If they made it 5 crores, 100 people will ask questions. If they made
Right.
50 crores, we will give them jutta. So they
Okay.
have to do a FPO, proper FPO in that case. So obviously there are rules.
Okay.
But for such small numbers, nobody cares.
Okay.
So in this case, the company is basically incurring the cost. I mean, because
There
it
is
is
no
issuing it
cost.
to the new like.
There is no cost, but there are some
How?
accounting rules now. Companies creating, in fact, getting the money right. It created 50,000 new shares and sold it
Yeah.
to you. You are the employee. Market rate was 2,000. Eicher Motors was at 2,000 or 13,000 something, 15,000, 20,000. So instead of 20,000, it gave it to you at 1,000 rupees. So 50,000 into 1,000. Company को आ गया ना उतना पैसा.
Okay. Okay.
So whatever,
Yeah.
okay. So here, whatever they get, they need to call. They need to write under this equity share capital, right? Additional
No.
amount.
No. Additional amount, no, yaar. They issued at 10, right? Here they will only show at par value. In equity share capital, everything is at par value. So if par value is 10, 50,000 share issued, they added 5 lakhs here. But all that extra money that they would have got went into their retained earnings.
Okay.
As I said,
Good.
right, retained earnings also include share premium, which means they showed 5 lakhs here, but say hypothetically in this case they sold it at 100 rupees. So total came 50 lakhs, right? So 5 lakhs went to your equity share capital, rest 45 lakhs went to your retained earnings. Clear now?
Clear. Yeah.
Clear for everyone? Now I have
Yes.
other question. This company's retained earning was only 2,000 crore in 2016, since whatever 30 years, and in less than 2 years they doubled it. Is this a good sign or a bad sign? As a shareholder now, I'm asking the question as a shareholder. And sorry, Akash, I'm asking so many questions. I know maybe you have more to finish. We will finish it in next class. As I said, this presentation is absolutely amazing, and this is the quality I expect from all the teams. And a lot of people were pinging me saying they need more time, so they have more time till next week. I hope they do a good job. And this is really fantastic work from the three of you. So yeah, the question on retained earnings. It has doubled in 2 years. Is it a good sign or a bad sign? One by
If
one.
the retained earnings is more, I mean, from my perspective as a shareholder, on one side it is good. It just shows that their net income is increasing over a period of time, but also a bad sign because they're not spending the capital well, or they're not doing enough with the money. Neither they're giving it out in the form of the dividend.
Exactly, right? That is a very bad sign, not a good sign. Why I will say, so when you say it is a good sign that my profit is going up, that anyways I can see from my net income, right? That my profit is going up. But basically, if I see between 2016 and 17, it has gone up by 1700 crores, which again, the numbers are not making sense, because if I add the whole of net profit also, it will not come to that much. So from where did they get that extra money? So anyways, this net income, which means they're hardly giving dividends. So all the money the company is retaining to do what? What will they do with so much extra money? Because I can clearly show that company has enough income to cover the expense. So why is the company keeping so much money? So what is the Eicher Motor plan? Are they going to buy some other company? What are they going to do? Otherwise, this will just keep bloating up their balance sheet. But as a shareholder, I want them to reward me, right? So they could have done multiple things with this money in 2017. They could have given me a bonus issue. They could have given me higher dividend. They could have given for a share buyback. They could have gone for, what else could they have done? Yeah, these are the three ways to reward the shareholder. So as a shareholder, I should be really angry, right? In 2017, that they are retaining a large portion of the profits to do what?
And
No,
neither
that's what.
the R&D spend is increasing.
Yeah, but R&D spend is anyways not going from your retained earnings, right? If R&D spend went up, right, it would anyways come from my revenues. So they had enough revenues to cover for R&D. That is also fair point. Yeah, if they used a retained earning to build maybe a state-of-the-art plant and started manufacturing 1000cc vehicles, I could also digest it. But it's just going in their cash, and this money is probably lying with some mutual fund earning 5%.
No, but actually, recently they acquired, right, a new plant and a complete business unit. So the
Yeah,
Volvo
but
buses, yeah.
you see this money, yeah, how much it is going
Yeah.
up from 40.
Okay.
But
I think
Nishant,
yesterday.
here, yeah, sorry. But one thing is that it depends on the saturation of the market and the company and the industry. For example, if the market is already saturated and they cannot invest it anymore, then probably they are keeping it for some years and they maybe have like a long-term strategy. So we
Why
need to
keep?
go deeper
Give the
into it.
profit, right? The profit does not belong to the company, it belongs to the shareholder. Reward them,
Yeah,
right?
but they're giving the dividends, isn't it?
Where is the dividend? You see, the
I
profit
don't
is,
realize. Yeah.
the dividend is very less. That whole, if the profit was 1200 crores, retain 50 crore, na? Pay 1200 crore as dividend. Why they are not paying? And again, as I said,
But maybe they're saving it for a rainy day.
which rainy day? Look at this company's numbers. Look at the profit numbers. Consistently, it is 1500 crores. So you save 200 crores. Like you said, issuer, you cannot save all your, so you earn 1 lakh a month. You will save everything for a rainy day. You will spend also, right? You will save 50%. 50% you will spend, na, to live a good life also. So as a shareholder,
Sorry.
as a shareholder, if the company made, my company made 1000 crores, they can retain 50%. 50% to do dividend. So again, one
And
more
having
metric,
like a
one
higher
more.
retained earning is also showing bad on the books, right? Because your ROE number keeps dropping low and low.
Exactly, because if you are not able to utilize it efficiently, and that is clearly showing, right, from a high of 57%, it is at 23%. However, if they had actually paid out dividends, their ROE will still be very high. So if they had actually paid out, so say in 2016, they made a profit of 1229 crores. If they had utilized everything for the shareholder, either through a share buyback, bonus issue, or cash dividend, whichever is most efficient tax wise, if they had paid out fully, my retained earning would be zero, which means my shareholder equity would be remaining same. So next year, when I divide my profit of 1560 on the total shareholder equity of 2000 crores, my ROE would have remained very high at around 70%. So in fact, my ROE and the market rewards such companies, which we have seen, right? In the other example that I explained, that higher ROE means higher valuations. Even the P ratio is missing here. Akash, P ratio should be there in your table. Okay, I hope you are making all those notes. Okay.
We have PE ratio and PEG ratio down below. I mean, there was a second analysis performed as well. We can look into that PE and PEG ratio down.
Sure. So that will be continued to next Saturday. Okay, we have 3 minutes. So any questions can be asked. At 4:30, we will start the Apple versus Google Arnab Goswami big fight. Whoever wants to stay can stay. I will also switch off the recording because it is going to be an interesting discussion. And yeah, whoever wants to leave can leave.
Yeah. Before going ahead, Nishant, just wanted to, I mean, there are not
No,
many
let
things
people answer the question, right? Let people take the Q&A. 2 minutes here. This we will cover next class. There is enough time. Don't worry. This is what is the core of this
We
group.
don't have require much time. I think we require just 5-10 minutes. We can finish our presentation.
Yeah, and
Okay,
also Nishant,
whatever you guys prefer. You guys want to finish, then finish. Okay.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
that's better.
it's already two classes we have done. I think it's better if we can finish it off. We're not going to take much time. I mean, probably another 5 minutes because most of the things we have already discussed. So from this chart, we just like to highlight two things. So one is the PE ratio, and another one is the EPS growth, and the last one is the PEG ratio. So we have seen that this data. So Akash pulled up the data really from the annual reports. This data is from the screener. We have observed that there is a discrepancy in the screener data and what Akash pulled up from the annual report. I don't know the sanctity of this data, but let's say that it is in the range of plus minus 5% of what is the actual data from the annual reports. Okay, that's just the disclaimer. So price to earning ratio will not go into the December 10. We'll stick to March 16 as well, because the above tables were from the March 16 only. So price to earning ratio was 38, 41, 39, 25, and 19 in March 2020.
No, one second, Nimit. So if you look at here, right? So it's a very interesting chart. So if you look at December 2010, its P ratio was 17. In December 11, it went down to 13. But something happened between December 11 and December 12 that the P got re-rated from 13 to 24. So suddenly the stock became such high valuation. So what happened? That is a very interesting data to check. Okay, we will have to see what happened. And that is why, because of the P ratio growth, the net profit may not have grown much. And that is also correct, right? I had not even looked at it, but just by looking at the P ratio. So if you see the net profit growth from 2011 to 12 is very less. But look at the stock price growth, because the P ratio changed. So we need to understand why the market suddenly gave a higher P ratio to this company in 2012. So these all should come as part of the analysis. So these are additional tasks that need to be done. Maybe we can take it up next month. Okay. So Akash, just make a note. Okay. Because these are interesting data to check.
Can you repeat the question, Nishant?
Okay. Just look at the P ratio column, which is highlight that na P ratio.
Row. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So if you see the P ratio of that company was 17.62 or roughly 18 in December 2010. In December 2011, it went down to 13. So what happened? Why did the P ratio go down just like that? Then in 2012, suddenly it went from 13 to 24. So what happened? Then from 12 to 13, it went from 24 to 34. Again, what happened? Then it went up from 34 to 66. There what happened? So look at this P ratio fluctuation. Then again it came down in 2016 to 38, then 17 again 41, then 39, then 25, then 19. So what is going on? So 19 and 20 we can correlate with the Akash data. ROE is going down. So if you see 19 and 20, ROE is going down, so P is also going down. But in these years we need to see what happened, why it went up. So did the ROE went up? What happened?
Also, one thing
you
was
gave
like
the reason yesterday, right, Nishant? You were saying that during this time there was a lot of money floating around and all that stuff. So is it not the reason?
Yeah, it could be, right? So if you go down, not this, right? This is from 2016. This data is from previous year. So if you see 10, that recession ended, right? So 11 was the market was starting to recover. 12, 13, 14, a lot of money was floating around. So maybe it was that extra liquidity that increased P ratios. Because if you see, this is a huge gadbada, means from a low of 18, then 13 to 66. That P ratio changing from 13 to 66, which means even if the profit was same, the share price would have still increased by 5 times. So anybody who bought in this price in December 2011 and held it till this December 2014, in 3 years, look at the return. It has gone up almost 10 times. So he would have made bum, right? 1 crore becomes 10 crore, retirement done. Nothing more to do in life. Okay, so that is where we need to go into much deeper study that what happened between those 3 years.
But just from your experience, this does not happen like with other companies?
No, it happens. But what I'm saying is we need to see why it happened with Eicher Motors. Did the product just take off? Like, did the sales just go bazoom? Or did the ROE just go bazoom? What happened? So that is what, that is where it needs deeper analysis.
Okay.
That is why reading numbers is not so easy. It is a tough job. It takes a lot of time and patience. Okay, so that all you guys can do for next month. So you don't need to pick a new company, just go deeper into this company, because this will answer a lot of our questions. Because right now, if I just look at this data, it looks like a bad investment because its ROE is going down, its P ratio is going down because ROE is driving P ratio. But then again, we need to see other factors like how big is the market. So how many bullets were sold last year? I think 7 lakh. But can they sell 70 lakhs? Is the market big enough? Or which other new markets can they enter? Can they go to the US and compete with Harley? Can they go to Japan and compete with Honda? A lot of those questions come in.
Yeah. So we looked into the numbers from the quarter's perspective as well. The growth has been declining since March 2019, and even it was bleak in since September 2018.
What is the production versus sales? Do we have that number?
No, it's not there in the chart. Production versus sale. But we can
So
see that
we need to also see production versus sales. So if my production capacity is 8 lakh bullets per year, am I selling all the 8 lakhs? Am I having extra demand or am I selling only 4 lakhs? So which means my plant is idle 50% of the time. So we need that very, very important for companies like this, manufacturing companies, production versus sales. Production installed production capacity versus sales. The actual production may vary. If the capacity is 10 lakhs, but the demand was only 4 lakhs, I might have produced only 4 lakhs, which means my plant load factor, PLF, okay? Plant load factor is also very important. Okay. So, but yeah, finish the presentation.
Yeah. So we'll quickly down. So we that was in these the growth is declining since September 2018 constantly. You can see this in the numbers as well. In June 2018 it was 27, then dropped down to 11, 3, -1, -7, -9, -12. June 2020, we everyone know it was a COVID hit area. So, but even before that, till March 2020, the growth was.
Look at December only, na? December or September. Look at -7 and all. Those are all bleak numbers. So basically, the whole of after March 2019, they haven't grown actually.
Right. So that was it. And from the longer term perspective as well, the growth seems to be bleak. Motorcycle industry already experienced down since 2018, and also the Enfield, their prime product is in the premium segment. So it's a premium segment bike, and with this